What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Another Turnover, the basketball podcast where a basketball fan with zero basketball credibility gives his opinions on what's going on in the NBA. Opinions that nobody asked for. As always, I'm your host, Mr. Chris Aaron Murphy, aka AA Ron. And ladies and gentlemen, let's just jump right into it. Folks, welcome back. Happy New Year. We are now in 2025. Depending on when you're listening to this, it'll be, 2025 regardless. Today's date, January 6th. This is week 9 of Another Turnover of season 5, the 89th episode overall. And I'm excited. I had a wonderful break. Christmas was solid. New Year was solid. Got to spend it with, family and friends, and got to do the things that I wanted to do the things that the family wanted to do. So I'm very glad to have had a much needed break, and I hope it was the same for you. But we are here. A lot has happened since my last episode. My last episode was it the week? It was the week before Christmas, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that, but I think it was the week of Christmas. Anyway, it's been a long time. It's been at least 2 weeks since we had an episode. So not to delay any longer, let's jump right into it. We're going to talk about a story that we have kind of touched on a few episodes ago. I want to say it was week 6 or 7, but it has now been confirmed. The news is out. Jimmy Butler tells the Miami Heat that he wants out. So reported from ESPN's Shams Charania and Brian Windhorst that Jimmy Butler has asked the Miami Heat to trade him. Specifically, the tweet reads that Jimmy Butler has told the Heat that he wants to be traded. So I have a CBS article pulled up here that talks about it, the trade request. But let me set the table for you. So Jimmy Butler, a report comes out that he tells the Heat that he wants to be traded. In a post-game interview, I can't exactly remember what game it was, but in a post-game interview, Jimmy Butler did not hold back words regarding this whole situation with his status with the Miami Heat. And I want to play a little soundbite of that, and then we'll talk. So I'm going to play that here now.
I'm going out there to compete to win either way. Whether I score 9 points or 29 points, I will compete. That's one thing that I will say. So you won't say that I'm out there not playing hard. It may look like that because my usage is down and I don't shoot the ball a lot, but we won't sit here and say that I don't play hard.
What will fix it? What do you want to see happen to fix it?
What do I want to see happen? I want to see me get my joy back from playing basketball. And wherever that may be, we'll find out here pretty soon. But I want to get my joy back. I'm happy here, off the court. But I want to be back to somewhat dominant. I want to hoop. And I want to help this team win. Right now, I'm not doing that.
Can you get your joy back here on the court?
Probably not.
Yikes. So, like I said, Jimmy Butler did not hold back, basically saying, wants to get back to, wants to get his joy back playing basketball, and he's probably not going to get it in Miami. So, fiery words from Jimmy Butler. Like I alluded to earlier, the CBS Sports article I want to talk about on top of that. But after that post-game interview from Jimmy Butler, the Miami Heat suspended him. He has been suspended for 7 games for conduct detrimental to the team. So Miami also put out a statement that basically they are going to explore trades for Jimmy Butler now. But the CBS Sports article I want to talk about here says Miami Heat have suspended star forward Jimmy Butler for 7 games following his comments he made Thursday night suggesting that he was no longer interested in being a member of the organization. The comments were followed by a report that Butler had officially requested a trade from the Miami Heat. So this past Friday, the Heat released a statement announcing Butler's suspension for multiple instances of conduct detrimental to the team over the course of the season, and particularly the past several weeks. The statement went on to read, through his actions and statements, Butler has shown he no longer wants to be a part of the team. And now the important part, according to the CBS Sports article, Jimmy Butler and his representative have indicated that they wish to be traded. Therefore, we will listen to trade offers. So, like I said, the news is out. Jimmy Butler wants out of there. And this whole situation has been kind of crazy because, I mean, you've had Jimmy Butler's agent firing off at Shams earlier this year when they talked about, there was trade rumors and basically calling Shams a liar, and then basically Shams being proven to be right in this whole situation. So it's now coming to a head. I personally think this is all stemming from Pat Riley and Jimmy Butler. Apparently this relationship is just incredibly soured over the past couple years. Obviously, the Miami Heat have been to the finals twice in the past 5 years. They went in 2020 in the bubble season, and then they went against the Denver Nuggets in 2023. Obviously, lost both times, but they've been solid, but they've missed out on some key free agents and some key trades that Jimmy Butler was hoping that the team would make, at least according to the reports. I know they went after Damian Lillard, didn't get him. I know they went after Kevin Durant, didn't get him. If I'm not mistaken, did they go after Bradley Beal as well, or try to acquire Bradley Beal? I'm not entirely sure on that one, but I know they missed out on some high-profile free agents. So it's reported that Jimmy Butler's, wanting them to upgrade the roster. Miami Heat has just failed to do so. So with Jimmy Butler turning 35 and having a player option, I want to say for $54 million next year, it seems as if this relationship is now over. Now, there are plenty rumored suitors for Jimmy Butler, but with the way the situation has gone down, unfortunately, when it goes to the public that a player wants to be traded, it's kind of hard to get the full value for them. Think about when Kawhi Leonard wanted to be gone from the San Antonio Spurs back in the day. Once the news came out, San Antonio wasn't gonna get everything that they probably should have deserved in that trade. But the rumored suitors for Jimmy Butler, it's been talked about that Phoenix would potentially be interested. They more than likely would have to deal Bradley Beal, who has a no trade clause, so that makes that situation a bit more complicated. Houston apparently has been interested. I saw a report the other day that Memphis would also potentially be interested, and I would be intrigued by that. But you're pairing Jimmy Butler, and Jaren Jackson Jr. I kind of like it. I don't know what pieces they would have to give up, but I kind of like it. But yeah, that situation is, I guess, what some people say a hot mess express down in Miami. But nonetheless, Jimmy Butler from the Miami Heat wants to be gone, would like a trade, and Miami has suspended him and said they will do just that. So we'll see. More than likely, he will be traded before the trade deadline next month. I would be shocked if they didn't find a trade for him before the trade deadline. But a couple other pieces of news that happened over the past few weeks, over the Christmas break. Goodness gracious, D'Angelo Russell. I'm thinking too fast for my mouth, but D'Angelo Russell traded back to the Brooklyn Nets. So the Los Angeles Lakers have dealt D'Angelo Russell Max Lewis for 3 second-round picks. They traded D'Angelo Russell, Max Lewis, and 3 second-round picks for Dorian Finney-Smith and Shake Milton. Now, if you are, a historian, I guess, or a fan of the NBA such as I am, this is D'Angelo Russell's second stint in Brooklyn, and he played pretty well in Brooklyn, but was traded for Kevin Durant after Kevin Durant left the Warriors, and then D'Lo had that short stint in Golden State before, I believe, going back to the Lakers for his second stint with the Lakers. But this comes as no surprise with all the trade rumors surrounding D'Angelo Russell. JJ Redick kind of calling out his effort and some of the things that they wanted to see from him. So this comes as no surprise that D'Angelo Russell was traded, and hopefully he plays well in Brooklyn. I've seen some of the highlights from his first game back in Brooklyn, playing pretty well, but someone made the comment that I kind of agree with. When you're playing with no pressure, you tend to play a little bit better. So, but yeah, D'Angelo Russell is no longer a Los Angeles Laker and is back in Brooklyn. So best of luck to him. But another thing that happened over the Christmas break, obviously we had the Christmas Day games. We had a slate of 5 games, and if you remember, my picks were San Antonio, Dallas, Boston, the Lakers, and the Denver Nuggets. Your boy went 1 for 5. 1 for 5 in Christmas Day games. Only picking the Los Angeles Lakers correctly. Go figure. But, the Knicks defeated the Spurs. The Mavericks defeated the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves defeated the Mavericks. The Sixers defeated the Celtics. That one was wild. And then, obviously, like I said, picked the Lakers correctly, beating the Golden State Warriors. Denver Nuggets. I picked to beat the Phoenix Suns, but the Phoenix Suns ended up winning that game. But the news that came out afterwards that this was the most watched Christmas Day game in 5 years. They were up 84% year over year. I have the statistics here. Give me 1 second. Yeah, they were up 84%. The biggest matchup was, of course, the old heads, LeBron James and Steph Curry, the Lakers and the Warriors. That game averaged about 7.7 million viewers, peaked with about 8.3 million viewers. Now, what made this Christmas Day slate of games more interesting is that they were going head-to-head with the NFL on Netflix. I believe the Ravens and the Texans played, and the Chiefs and somebody else played, if I'm not mistaken. But that game was broadcast on Netflix. Netflix is getting into this huge wave of live events. They had the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight. They've also got Monday Night Raw that's debuting tonight, January 6th. But it was an interesting slate because, the NBA is typically reserved for Christmas Day. Christmas Day is the NBA's. The NFL typically has Thanksgiving, so it seems as if the NFL wanted a piece of that Christmas pie. And LeBron James made a comment afterwards. He's like, "Hey, I love the NFL, but Christmas is our day," referring to the Christmas belongs to the NBA. But nonetheless, we know that football is king in terms of viewership in the United States specifically. I think the numbers from Netflix came out and the NFL had like 24 million views with those games that were broadcast on Netflix. So obviously more viewers than the NBA, but in the United States to be expected. Basketball is definitely a global game. You don't have people in Europe, wanting to play American football, but you have plenty of Europeans wanting to play basketball. So no surprises there, but good news for the NBA with multiple reports of ratings not doing so hot. Christmas Day games were up 84% year over year, most watched in 5 years. So shout out to NBA on Christmas Day. But before we wrap up here, let's get some rapid fire updates of things that have gone on over the past couple of weeks. We got the Oklahoma City Thunder with 15 straight wins. I honestly I've been paying attention to the Oklahoma City Thunder, but I hadn't been paying attention to how many games they had won in a row. So 15 straight games in a row, still the number 1 seed in the Western Conference by a good margin, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know their next slate of games here, but they very well could get to 20. They're playing some really good basketball. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is playing well. I think Chet Holmgren is also still out, and they're still winning games. So, not even their full team, but they're playing pretty well. Also, news came out. The Chicago Bulls will be retiring Derrick Rose's jersey next year. Well-deserved Chicago legend. Obviously, career was significantly impacted with all the injuries he had, but Derrick Rose still the youngest MVP of all time. Incredible player. I remember multiple friends back in high school, back in the day, Derrick Rose was their favorite player. He was absolutely electric and well deserved that he's getting his jersey retired. But Anthony Edwards, in a losing effort against the Detroit Pistons, yes, you heard me correctly, the Detroit Pistons scored 53 points. Obviously, the Timberwolves struggles continue, finding the fit with this roster with, integrating Julius Randle, Naz Reid getting more minutes, obviously Rudy Gobert. I'm just going to leave that there. Still trying to find the fit, but 53 points in a loss is probably incredibly frustrating. But nonetheless, we shall see what happens with this Minnesota team. I still think they'll make the playoffs. Personally, I think they'll get it together before the end of the year, but I could be wrong. And then the last thing, we had the first wave of All-Star votes come back, and leading the All-Star votes this year from the East and the West in the first wave of voting, Giannis Antetokounmpo and Nikola Jokic. So a little surprise there. Typically, it's been led by LeBron and Steph, or KD's been in there, but Giannis and Jokic are obviously well-established stars. Multiple MVPs for Jokic this decade. Giannis won an MVP this decade, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So no surprises there in terms of them leading the first wave of All-Star voting, but plenty of weeks to go before All-Star voting closes. But shout out to Giannis and Jokic. But Ladies and gentlemen, that is all the show I have for you fine folks today. First show of 2025. Very excited to be back. Very much looking forward to the latter half of the season. Obviously, football will be ending here within the next month. So then it'll be all basketball all day, every day. And I'm very excited to get to that. But if you could do all the good things, like, share, subscribe, leave comments, I would greatly appreciate it. Looking forward to all that 2025 has in store for the show and for you. But take care, and I'll see you next week.